Welcome to the Retirement Halftime Show. I am your host, Alexander Joyce, President, CEO of ReJoyce Financial. You would not play the second half of a game the same way you did the first, especially if you've got the lead. As it relates to retirement, and many of you have that lead, so what do? We maintain it. Maintain your lead in retirement. Stick around. We've got a great show for you. You know, truth be told, all they've got to do is call, right? All they've got to do is pick up the phone, take that leap of faith like everybody does when we start a new relationship. Like everybody does when we start. So I think that just having things in order, or having a tax plan, or having a plan in general for retirement sounds easy. You want to see how your portfolio would react before going through those types of events personally.
The Retirement Halftime Show starts right now. Retirement Halftime Show. Maintain your lead in retirement. The Retirement Halftime Show. Maintain your lead in retirement.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. I am your host, Alexander Joyce, and with me, of course, is co-host Alex Clark.
How are you?
Good.
I think, a lot of people come about and they want to know a little bit about your book, and I think a great place to start, right, we'll just dive in chapter 1. It's all about you.
Sure. And that's funny how you said that, because all about you. And that's what I think people think when they hire an advisor. You know, I mean, there's actually literally been situations where we're in a client meeting and the client references their own money as our money. And I think that it sometimes strikes a chord in me, because I don't want them to think that. I don't want them to think that they are giving us what is theirs, because what we want them to know is we are their advisor, right? We are their trusted advisor, and we want them to understand that they still maintain control. And I think that chapter 1 goes a little deeper than that, but I think that it's an unsolved mystery of why people think of it that way. And I think that may be one of the reasons why 73% of individuals have yet to seek out an advisor or a planner of any kind, because they think that they're giving their life savings to somebody else. And of course, it takes a lot of trust to even consider to hire an advisor, but I think that's the next level. And it's theirs. It's their hard work, and we want to make sure that they know that we're there to assist, we're there to add guidance, we're there to lead them, we're there to give them our professional opinion about what is theirs, and that is their life savings.
Yeah, that's great. You know, we talk about that all the time, right?
Don't we?
Yeah, people coming in that they've had a bad taste from a previous advisor.
That's one of the worst.
And you ask why, and it was not about the individual.
Sure.
It was about what the advisor wanted them to do, right? Not presenting them the options.
Yeah, you hear it all the time. And maybe this is off topic a little bit, but you hear it the most when there's downturn in markets.
Sure.
You hear it the most when there's negative things. You don't hear a lot of it. Of course, negative spreads a lot faster than positive, but we just wish that sometimes we had more positive reinforcement about the good things, right? And that's exactly what this story does. Leading right in to chapter 1 comes out of a phenomenal client story, right? That a lot of people can relate to, and a lot of people had that anxiety before they took that leap of faith and made that phone call, scheduled that first consultation, gave access to those statements, went through that analysis. That process took 3, 4, 5, 6 meetings, and years later, still has the confidence to pick up the phone, know that we're there for him, and without a doubt, in the back of his head, and as he sleeps on his pillow, rests well.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to grab the book and kind of dive into that and figure out, a little bit more about you, read some of these stories, where can they grab this?
Sure. You know what? I mean, there's always Amazon, right? I'm sure people are sick and tired of hearing that. But truth be told, all they've got to do is call. Right? All they've got to do is pick up the phone, take that leap of faith like everybody does when we start a new relationship. Like everybody does when we start a new prosperous relationship. They've got to have that they've got to do it.
Yeah,
Right?
that's great.
We can't force them to do it. They can, of course, go to our website,
Yeah.
and they can grab the book there. And they can even, do a Dropbox on one of the messages and just simply leave a note.
Okay.
Right, and say we want a copy of the event. They can register to one of our educational events. A lot of times we have a few books at those events. A lot of times people want autographed books. We have no reason not to do that as well. Multiple ways, Alex.
That's good.
Multiple ways they can get a book.
So I'd invite you guys all, give us a call, and we'll be back after this.
The Retirement Halftime Show. Maintain your lead in retirement.
I'm Alexander Joyce, President and CEO of ReJoyce Financial. If you're in retirement or near retirement, with all life's changes, it never hurts to get a second opinion. Managing expectations is the foundation of a prosperous relationship. Our goal is simple. We want to get to know you. So pick up the phone and make an appointment for a complimentary visit. There is no cost, no obligation. We simply want to get to know you and see if we can add value to your life in retirement. We can discuss topics like income planning, sequence of return risk, taxes, and estate planning, Social Security maximization, and much more. Let us help you develop strategies that can develop a successful retirement. If you want to know more about successful retirement strategies, then call now, schedule a visit, and let us help you rejoice in your retirement.
The Retirement Halftime Show. Maintain your lead in retirement.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. I am your host, Alexander Joyce, and with me, of course, is Alex Clark, your co-host. In this segment, we're talking about goals-based planning.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
I know it is, right?
Yeah.
So the question is, what does it mean, right? It's kind of common sense, but not common practice.
Right.
Goals-based planning. So first of all, it kind of goes back to the conversation of when somebody comes to the visit, if you will, and what we're looking for, right? We talked about, probably shows ago, but we talked about it's not about the money, it's about them,
Yes.
and it's about managing expectations, and it's about understanding what's important to them and what their goals are.
Yeah.
And then once we define what their goals are, we start the planning process of how to get them there.
Yeah.
We called that the ReJoyce Roadmap, right? And I think that can kind of give somebody a conceptual understanding of what goals-based planning is. We have to realize the goals. We have to put together a plan, a roadmap to get them there. We talked about the fixed income or the income foundation of someone's life,
Yep.
and then what their lifestyle is. And we talked about the plan of how to create a plan to be able to reach those goals along the way. We routinely find that people don't have a plan, right?
They're just blindly going through retirement.
Right, and we've always said that, and I think this is a powerful way to look at this, you can't live off of a pile of money. And I think that's what most people have in retirement, is they have a pile of money. And what we routinely see still today is that there's this 4% withdrawal percentage. You're familiar with that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so do you still think it's a viable strategy or an idea, or how do you feel about that?
You know, it depends upon the pile of money you're working with.
That's true.
You know, if you've got a large sum of money that you're working with, yeah, maybe. But there's been a lot of research done in this area, right? And I've heard anywhere numbers from 3 are safe down to 2.74. So you got to find that blend, right? Obviously, we don't want to tell you, hey, you can't retire and go do some things you want to do,
Yeah.
because you can't take that kind of money. You have to be willing to accept those risks.
Yeah.
And you know, knowing those goals is very helpful to say, hey, that 4% rule, yeah, you're fine. Or maybe you should consider going down to that 3%. But again, the transparency, right? Knowing the goals, understanding where they want to go, what's important to them, what they're trying to do with their money in retirement, that makes the world a difference for us as planners.
Doesn't it really?
Yeah.
I mean, it is, we say it all the time, a prosperous relationship starts with managing expectations, because it makes it really hard for us, right? Because if somebody wants to take their family on a Disney cruise, and they seek advice on because they're not first of all, they're not really seeking advice. They're making sure that we know that they're going to do it.
Right.
So let's be very straightforward about it. So, but now the pressure lies on the advisor, because when they get back home, guess what the expectation is? We better put that money back.
We better set aside.
Right. We better set aside, or come up with a strategy on making sure that they know right now that that's our job, that's our duty, that's their focus, because they're going to do it again next year.
Right.
Right. So we have to make certain that when we build that plan, we go ahead and we build those things in. How we do that is by simply being good listeners, because they'll tell us what they want.
100% of the time.
Won't they, Alex?
Yes.
They'll tell us what they want, what their goals are, what their desires are. We just simply have to be good listeners.
Right.
Right? My mentor once said, he said, listen, what did he say? He said, 2 ears, 1 mouth. And I still believe that today. I'm sure you've heard that before too. We've all probably heard that once or twice in our lives. But I think that's the thing. If we're good listeners and we
ask
execute
good questions,
ask
too,
good questions,
right?
and we execute the
part
plan
of it.
accordingly, that makes the world of difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and going back to the goals, right? Everybody's goals are different. Everybody. We've got people that, like you said, Disney cruises. They want to buy cars, second homes,
Sure.
boats. Letting us know up front in that consultation, right? Or as our relationship evolves, that's key.
it is.
And I can't stress that enough, is being transparent with one another, whether it's the fees, whether it's the goals, right? The things, the wants, the desires. That is key to a long, prosperous relationship.
Absolutely. It's a two-way street, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, we expect honesty from our clients. We are going to ask questions. We want honesty in return. They expect honesty, transparency, communication from us. So I think the first step is to get the plan defined, get the goals out there. Let us understand what's important to you and get that communication started, right? The best way to do that, Alex, pick up the phone and give us a call. Allow us the opportunity to add value to your life, okay? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The Retirement Halftime Show. Maintain your lead in retirement.
I'm Alexander Joyce, President, CEO of ReJoyce Financial. Getting the education you need for a successful retirement is key. That's why I've written my second book, ReJoyce in Your Retirement, Everything You Need to Know to Get Everything You Want. The book covers topics like identifying the income gaps, new ideas for investing, taxes and retirement, your legacy beyond dollars and cents, and much more. I've written this in an easy-to-understand format so that just about anyone can get the most out of it. To get a copy of ReJoyce in Your Retirement, Everything You Need to Know to Get Everything You Want, you can go to Amazon. But if you're one of the first callers, you can get a complimentary signed copy of this book just by scheduling a no-cost, no-obligation visit. This book is packed with information that will help you get the most out of your retirement years. If you want to know more about successful retirement strategies, then call now. Education is key. And let us help you rejoice in your retirement.
The Retirement Halftime Show. Maintain your lead in retirement.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. I am your host, Alexander Joyce, and we've got an exciting topic to talk to you about.
Absolutely.
Alex?
Yeah, I love to talk about kind of our firm and the full services that we do offer to our clients.
Okay, all right. So let's jump right into it.
Dive in. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that for a lot of our clients and a lot of people watching our show that have been watching, right? I think that what we want them to take away is what makes us different, what sets us apart. Some of the services that we offer. But please, as we go through this, keep in mind that these aren't recommended strategies, right? Sure. These aren't, because as we always say, without knowing them in their situation, to make any recommendations would be financial malpractice to us, right? In my personal opinion. But one thing that I want people to take away is that we're full service.
Yes.
Okay, you mentioned that in the very beginning. What does full service mean to us? What does it mean to me? What does it mean to our team? I've always said that when somebody is getting ready to retire or somebody is retired, what they lack is a plan. We say it all the time.
All the time.
Right? What they lack is a plan that they know like the back of their hand. They can reflect on it, go back to it, review upon it, make changes to it, a roadmap. To us, that's called the ReJoyce roadmap.
Right.
All right? And I think that when someone does have a plan, and I'm very proud if someone has a plan, comes in, they have a plan, what they don't have is a tax plan. Right? So someone doesn't have a plan, they need a plan. If somebody has a plan, they lack a tax plan.
Sure.
Because tax planning, if you will, is the next level to retirement planning. Now let's say that somebody, once they get a plan, they didn't have a plan, let's say we get them a plan, right? Or they walk in with a plan, and now they have a tax plan. A lot of times what they lack is an estate plan. An estate plan, right? So I think that what most people do in their minds when they're thinking about retirement, right? Whether like we always say, whether they've been retired for a while, they're getting ready to retire, they think about their money, their portfolio as their plan.
Right.
And I think that what they lack is defining what actually goes into, right, that true plan that gets them through the rest of their life.
Right.
Right. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, exactly. And it's alarming, kind of. You see the people that'll walk in and have accumulated all this money, and they say, "We don't have a written will."
Yeah. And
Something
I think
so
that
simple.
So simple as a will or powers of attorney.
Right.
I break my hands and my wife needs to sign the taxes, and of course she signs my signature maybe better than I can, but a little bit different in front of the CPA, right? So I think that just having a will, and nobody really wants to talk about that because when is a will executed?
Upon death.
Right. So I think that just having things in order, or having a tax plan, or having a plan in general for retirement sounds easily said than done, easier said than done. So again, the takeaway being full service, we've put those pieces in place in our practice. More than anything, we've put those pieces in place in our firm under one roof.
Right.
So someone can get that plan, they can get the advice they need, they can get the education, they can get the review on their plan, we can do their taxes every year, they can meet with one of our CPAs, they can sit down with, in fact, they can sit down with a CFA, a chartered financial analyst in our office, right? They can sit down and have their will examined, executed, and maybe consider a trust if their situation provide such.
And to your point, right? I mean, that just really helps us understand our clients that much better. If we know that there's going to be a large taxable income in a given year because of a distribution, or there has to be, special needs planning for a child, grandchild. I mean, that just helps us so much more to be able to understand. And you've done a great job by bringing those people forward and, just making them available to our clients.
I appreciate that. There's a couple things that I know for certain just from practicing, right? And that is, there's one thing that could break up even the closest, tightest family. You know what it is?
Money.
It's money.
Yeah.
One thing to leave you with is, my mentor once said, he said, make sure that your clients have a very up-to-date estate plan in their household. And he's a little older than I am. He's 80, if I may say, and I'm sure he'll give me a hard time about that, right? But you know this gentleman. Yeah. And he also said that you're the guy to do it. Just like him being 80, and he said this verbatim, make sure they know that me being 80, I would not hire a doctor my age or older. You're the guy to carry out those wishes. And that stuck with me. Such a powerful topic, Alex. I'm happy we discussed it. You see, I get very passionate about this. Right. The takeaway being, know that we are full service. Know that if there is something that we've said that is concerning, or if you have questions on these topics, let's get your questions answered. Reach out to us. Go to our website. Give us a phone call. The best is yet to come. Stay tuned.
The Retirement Halftime Show. Maintain your lead in retirement.
I'm Alexander Joyce, President and CEO of ReJoyce Financial. If you're in retirement or near retirement, with all life's changes, it never hurts to get a second opinion. Managing expectations is the foundation of a prosperous relationship. Our goal is simple. We want to get to know you. So pick up the phone and make an appointment for a complimentary visit. There is no cost, no obligation. We simply wanted to get to know you and see if we can add value to your life in retirement. We can discuss topics like income planning, sequence of return risk, taxes, and estate planning, Social Security maximization, and much more. Let us help you develop strategies that can develop a successful retirement. If you want to know more about successful retirement strategies, then call now, schedule a visit, and let us help you rejoice in your retirement.
The Retirement Halftime Show. Maintain your lead in retirement.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. I am your host, Alexander Joyce, and we want to discuss our process. 73% of individuals in retirement or just getting ready to retire have yet to sit down with a planner or an advisor of any kind. What's very interesting is the 27% that actually did take that leap of faith, go talk to an advisor. They just retired or are getting ready to retire. They go to the office and they conversate. They come back home and they ask their friends and family. They gather around. They said, "How did it go?" You know what they said? "I have no idea what that guy was talking about." Sometimes it's difficult, right? I'm sure some of us have felt the same way. Nobody really wants to talk about their finances in a meeting, or talking about your personal information with somebody sometimes isn't a really good feeling. There's anxiety even to get to retirement. We see that having a well-defined process is easier for an individual to follow, a structure, if you would, and I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that. We want you to understand what our process looks like. Okay, so what we've done is we've just mapped it out in a very easy to understand way. The first process, or the first step in our process, if you would, is our discovery, right? It's understanding about you, right? It's understanding about what your goals are. Okay, it's understanding about what your fears are. It's understanding about what your concerns may be. What is it that we're trying to achieve in an overall retirement? What does that plan look like? Most people think when they come in the office, they got to have a pile of statements, or they have to have all their taxes, have to have all their insurance policies. Listen, the first step in our process is making sure you know more about us and making sure we know more about you. At that first consultation or visit, if we made any type of recommendation based upon your situation to us, just personally, I would think that's financial malpractice. We want to slow down, make sure you understand more about us. Like I said, we want to make sure we understand more about you and your family to be able to get to that next step in our process, which is data. We want to gather a little bit more information so we can do proper analysis, okay? So we can dig in a little bit deeper, because we routinely see that most people don't really understand what risk even how it even works, right? They think of risk, or they get a question on a piece of paper that says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is maximizing your growth? Well, everybody wants to maximize their growth, but the question is, how much risk are you willing to take to do that? Okay, so we want to make sure we understand what the risk, how you feel about risk, and in terms of your return objectives. What is an expected rate of return, so we can make sure we're on the same page. Okay, once we gather a little bit of that information, we want to do a proper evaluation. All right, so one thing that we do that may be different in our firm, if you would, is we use technology. Okay, so we like to use technology. One of the things that we like to refer that as is a stress test. Okay, so we want to stress test the portfolio, because you may think that in terms of a speed limit, if you will, you may think that your portfolio is driving at a comfortable speed that you're okay with. But the fact is, sometimes a portfolio we see is driving 75 miles an hour. But when we ask the individual, how do you feel about risk, and the score, if you will, their speed limit turns out to be around 45 miles an hour, you may not know that. So what we do is we take the current portfolio, if you would, and we run it through a stress test in terms of past historical events. Okay, so it would probably be good for you to see how your overall portfolio would react to a recession, or a 2000, or a 2008, or if interest rates spiked, if you will. You want to see how your portfolio would react before going through those types of events personally. So if you see, well, I'm not really comfortable losing 20%, or I don't want to be in that type of position where my portfolio would lose half of its value, because of course time takes place, right? It takes a lot of time to be able to get back. For instance, if the market dropped 50%, your portfolio would need to grow to 100% just for you to break even, and that takes time. So we want to show you things like that so you understand in terms of how risk really works, and so you can be comfortable with it. All right, so that's evaluation. Once we evaluate the portfolio, we want to then give recommendations if there is a need for recommended changes. Some of us see, well, we're just kind of looking for an advisor, or we want more of a relationship, change things over time, if you would, and we can do that. But there could be recommended changes to that portfolio, whether it's risk tolerance or risk-adjusted returns, making sure we can adapt to historical events, making sure that you're comfortable with that, if you would. And then step 5 is implementation. Once we implement, then we over time review. Okay? As we know, things change. Life changes. People come into our lives. You have grandchildren. Some of us want to become debt-free in retirement. Some of us want to buy an RV. Some of us want to take a trip to Disney with our grandkids every single year. That requires changes over time. There's going to be volatility, right? We've been riding this bull run for the last 10 or 11 years. When is it going to stop? Is NASDAQ 8,000 the new low? Is Dow's 27,000 the new low, right? S&P climbing 3,000. Is that the new low? Well, some of us would say yes. Some of us would say no. We don't have a crystal ball. But what we can tell you is it starts with you, okay? The foundation of our firm starts right there, all right? It starts with a discovery. It starts with making sure we're comfortable. The rest of this just kind of comes over time, right? But number one, we have to understand your goal. We have to make sure we have a roadmap. We call ours the ReJoyce roadmap. Right? So that's what matters the most to us, making sure that we understand what your goals are and have a purpose for retirement. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate, pick up the phone and call us. Stay tuned, there's more show to come.
The Retirement Halftime Show. Maintain your lead in retirement.
I'm Alexander Joyce, President and CEO of ReJoyce Financial. If you're in retirement or near retirement, with all life's changes, it never hurts to get a second opinion. Managing expectations is the foundation of a prosperous relationship. Our goal is simple. We want to get to know you. So pick up the phone and make an appointment for a complimentary visit. There is no cost, no obligation. We simply want to get to know you and see if we can add value to your life in retirement. We can discuss topics like income planning, sequence of return risk, taxes, and estate planning, Social Security maximization, and much more. Let us help you develop strategies that can develop a successful retirement. If you want to know more about successful retirement strategies, then call now, schedule a visit, and let us help you rejoice in your retirement.
The Retirement Halftime Show. Maintain your lead in retirement.
Thank you so much for watching today's Retirement Halftime Show. If you've got any questions about today's show, give us a call, go to our website, and remember, maintain your lead in retirement. We'll see you next time.